In today's session we are going to discuss about the morphing. So I have opened one of the projects, so let me give it some name, which is morph, for example, like this. Right now, as you know, morphing is like very simple. It get transformed from one object to another object, or the same object we can transform into something else. So let's have like a look upon. We can add some of the props. So let's give these props some transformation using the morph. So I'm going to add first 3 objects because we want to do something how the objects are coming in and getting transformed. So first I'm going to use this object outside of the canvas, because once we export the video, this is not something going to look into the video, right? And also let me enable the guidelines. I would like to enable the guideline, which is the large. Now I want to put this in here, now in here. So our objective is to, when the object is coming until the center, it should get zoom, right? It should like look bigger, and this is like we will create some chain. All right, so for example, this object in here, this object in here. Now you can see this is like timeline, right? This is like 1 to 3 seconds. So as a viewer, someone is not going to wait until 3 seconds just to come this until center. All right, so what you have to do basically to disable the animation, which is like this animation timing, you can come into like animation, select the object, and there is an option which is called the no animation. So this, you can see that delay or the animation duration has been disabled. You can also add into like favorites. So for example, I can just click upon it. You can add in favorite. I already added, so it's showing me as a remove, right? Now let me go into the favorite, and I can select this object. I would say no animation, and this would say the no animation. All right, now you can see like this become very small, and sometimes there is a UI you have to adjust with like timeline, because when you are doing some big project, of course you're going to add like more objects, but as per the demonstration I'm just adding like 3 and more, but you have to just bear with like this UI. So all you have to do is like duplicate this slide. Once you click upon the duplicate side, it is going to enable the morph. So if you go into 3 dots again, it is going to show you transition type, which is like now it's morphing. And if you do like no transition, it is not going to morph. So if I select no transition, it becomes the same object what it was earlier. So let me delete this slide, because we want to morph, right? So I'm going to do the duplicate slide, and it is going to enable the morphing. So in the morphing, once you come here, this is the area you want to give the result. So when the animation is going to play from this slide, what kind of visual you want to give to the user, that is something you can decide. So I'm going to give the visual, which is it has to become large, the first step. Then it should like slide the other object in here. The third object should inside like this. And also I want to add like as a chain few more objects. So I can add, just go into the props, I can add like more objects. We already added, right? So we can add this one. All right, so this time we're going to, let me delete this one, this would be duplicate. So I'm going to put this in here. All right, now again I'm going to do like morphing, so I can just duplicate the slide. All right, so everything is going to be fixed in here. Now the one thing which is, this is going to take 1 second, because this object in here, if I select this object in here, right? So that is the reason you have to disable this object or like animation as well. So I can go and do the no animation. Now I did not do this at the first place, because what happens sometimes if you like do it first, for example here, then you may not be able to select the properly that duplicate slide option, like these 3 dots. So that's the reason I just duplicate it first, then I disable its animation. All right, now the later on this slide, the animation has to be transformed different. For example, this animation slide, we make it zoom in here. On this slide we want to slide this in here like this, but we want to make it like smaller, so that we are going to get good animation experience. So we can do it like this, and this one is going to come and become large. All right, I'm going to play this like just 2 slides so that you know what I mean, and this is going to be entered. since you may already be used like morphing, so you might already understand what I'm trying to do in here, right? So let me play in here so you can understand. Let me first disable, just hold on, let me disable this guideline so we have better look. All right, so now this, okay, it's like a card kind of playing is happening. Now let's do like more duplication so that we can have like more playing. Let me add more animation, which is like this, for example. All right, and this is, we can put in here. Now this has been done. We are going to move this in here and make it like this one is smaller. Let me enable the guidelines so we can make sure every objects are going to be in center, right, like this. And this one we're going to make it zoom, and it's going to be like this. Let's slide in here, like here. All right, now after that we can just do it one more animation, like duplicate, and we can just disable the animation for this so that this slide should not have like extra timing. For example, no animation. All right, now on this slide this object should go outside, and this should slide in here, this should go slide in here, something like that. All right, and this would become like the bigger one. All right, so this is one example. I have already created one project. We are going to look at that soon. Now let's see how it's going to look like at this point. So I'll just play like this. Okay, right now, okay, so we did not slide in here, so let me do slide in here so it should have like better look. All right, now let me export these videos so that you will get to know like how this is going to be like look as a visual. But before that, let's have some proper alignment, otherwise or like that export is not going to look better, like this, and all alignments look okay in here. Okay, because you do not want to alignment to be like go up and down, otherwise that video won't not going to look nice. All right, it has to be stay at the constant place what you have started from, and that way it's going to look better. Now let me just export this video, and it should get exported like very soon. Because, and I would like to tell you about the exportation, because if you are doing like 1080 in pixel, then you have to make sure this is the warning we are giving. And if you have like inbuilt GPU or like external GPU, it is going to support 1080. Otherwise you can use the 720 if you do not have the GPU. So let me show you my configuration so that you know like what I'm saying. So on my this machine, if I go in like performance, right, I do have like GPU, and this is internal. I did not add something that NVIDIA GPU, something like that. This is internal GPU, right? Sometimes most of the machine have this kind of internal GPU, and it uses like its own like CPU and GPU. If you have external GPU, it is going to show you like external GPU from such and so brand. All right, so if you have this GPU, that means you can export in 1080. And if you do not have that, that means your export is going to use CPU, and that is sometime 1080 doesn't work properly. You may have some shaky kind of that experience. So since I have GPU, I can export with 1080, and I'll just wait for few, I think a 30-second or something it might gonna take to export, because very small video. All right, so let's wait. Alrighty, so our video is ready to download, so I can just click upon to download video. And I'm going to give the path, which is, let's give it like name, which is morph. Okay, and just one, because we have one more project we are going to export. So this save, and it's not going to show you like I mentioned you last time, it already saved because it's already like generated. You have to just look at the folder, which is download, and here is it. So let me play this video so that you will know like how it look like. All right, All right, so this is like how it is going to be look like basically. And you can use some kind of morphing to do so many things. It is not something you have to do like images. You can do like even the presentation, right? You can like transform from one to something else, because morphing is like very powerful tool. If you have used like already, then you know like how it works, right? Let me show you one more project I created for using the morphing. So let me go back to the project. So this is like another project we have, and I did like everything already, so I'm just going to explain you since you already know like how it works. So let's wait. Okay, so this is like the first slide, and this is like complete everything. Like it has audio, it has script. I just wanted to understand which object going to come here, and I can use the script. Like I can click upon like this, it is going to show me like where the object is coming, just to understand, and so let's start with like how it's created. So first I added this one of the shape. You can go into the shape. You're going to understand about the shapes, like maybe different recording. So this is the area which is we have shape. You can add shape, and I just give like no animation, and then I added like morphing, and in the morphing I added all the text I needed, and then I added also like one of these, the one more shape, so that it is going to be morph like that. And my objective was, when this is going to explain about like artificial intelligence, on the next slide this red one should come in and the blue one should get like collapse. So what I mean, something like this, right? So this is not something it's going to be explained, so let me just play this and you'll understand what I mean. All right, so let's have a play.
Think of artificial intelligence, AI, as the big umbrella. Basically, it's just computer technology that lets machines do things that usually require a human brain, like learning, thinking, or solving problems. Now, under that umbrella, we have different types. First, there's generative AI. This is the stuff you've probably played around with recently, like ChatGPT. You give it a specific step-by-step prompt, and it actually creates something entirely new for you, whether that's a piece of writing, a cool image, or even computer code. Then we have agentic AI, which takes the...
Alright, so this is something I did with, like with the help of this shapes. You have to just add shape, you have to just make it, look like how it's gonna basically look like on the next slide. And you can mix with like different animations. So in this animation I mixed with like this, that highlighter. You can just go into like hand drawn, and you can select the marker, and you can just select anything you want to like highlight, something like this, right? So I did highlight, and you have to give like which hand you want to draw with. For example, like this, if I'm going to like this, and let's not do in here, let me show you on the different, so that you'll understand what I mean. So let me delete from here. Let's go into one of the last one. Okay, so this, like for example, we have text. For example, this is the text, all right, and in the text we are going to highlight here. So I can just go into like a hand drawn and select that color I like. I can see the marker, and I can do it something like this. And if I do not do like hand animation, it is going to be like that default animation which is fed in. So let me play so you know what I mean, like this, right? So it's not having that human touch animation or feeling, right? So you have to click upon this, all right, and you have to go into like hand styling, and you can select which is the hand style you want to give the animation to. So let me, this is a fade in, so fade in is not going to work, so you have to first do this sketch. When it's be enabled sketch, then only is going to enable the hand. Otherwise you had noticed that hand was not coming. So let me show you one more time. If I do fade in, and if I go into the hand style, it's not coming here, right? So hand style is always going to come when you have did some kind of sketching, kind of enable this sketch tool. All right, now I can just go in here, I can select any hand I want, I can select this one, and now let's play once again. Let's see how it's gonna look. All right, so this is like you can do like mix many kind of the animation what we have in here. So let me do one thing, let me export this video, and then you can see the result, how it look like. So you can understand, you can use morphing to do so many things, and you can take the animation completely on a different level. So let me do the export for this video. I can just pause the video by the time it is like exporting. So our recording is basically ready to download. I can just click upon download video and I can just give name, which is like morph 2 for example, and I can just save. Since already like exported, it's not going to show us any process. Let me just go into the download. Now let me play this video so you will understand the experience you are going to get from this morphing. Alright,
Think of artificial intelligence, AI, as the big umbrella. Basically, it's just computer technology that lets machines do things that usually require a human brain, like learning, thinking, or solving problems. Now, under that umbrella, we have different types. First, there's generative AI. This is the stuff you've probably played around with recently, like ChatGPT. You give it a specific step-by-step prompt, and it actually creates something entirely new for you, whether that's a piece of writing, a cool image, or even computer code. Then we have agentic AI, which takes things a step further. Instead of needing you to hold its hand and prompt it for every little thing, you just give it a big picture goal. From there, it figures out the steps, grabs the tools it needs, and works on its own to get the job done. Finally, there's general AI, which is still mostly sci-fi right now. This would be human-level intelligence. Instead of just being good at one specific thing, it would be able to learn, adapt, and tackle any intellectual task, just like you or I can. That was a quick introduction to the artificial intelligence.
so that was our one of the video we exported. Now in the end, you must have like noticed that it just zoomed in, right? This specific, the area had zoomed in. So let me show you what I mean.
Introduction to the artificial intelligence.
Right. So this is like one of the other tool what we have, and we have like many tools added. So we are going to discuss them like one by one as we proceed into like a different lecture. So this is all about the morphing, and I'll see you in the next video.